Welcome back. White and Indian South Africans are more likely to be appointed and given promotions. That's the finding of a new Commission for Employment Equality report. It details employment patterns over the last year. Among some of the other findings is that only 15.2% of the top managers in the country are black. Let's discuss this now with the Commission for Employment Equity. The commissioner there is Tabea Kabinde. Tabea, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. So the racist Theresa May ad has forced us to have more conversations about transformation at different levels of spaces in the work environment. And the commission you chair has been looking at this. The picture is not rosy. It doesn't look like it's changing. We're speaking about this every single year. The commission releases its report. And now we see the impact in instances where companies produce racist adverts.
That's right. Indeed, transformation is very slow. If you look at the top two levels, in fact, three levels of organizations, occupational levels, you'll see that on average, we are having a 1 percentage point movement from the white population to the designated groups per annum, which is very, very slow. If you consider the fact that around 31.1% of the black population, that means African, colored, and Indian, is represented at top management. It means it's going to take us another 60 years if we follow this trajectory.
What role is government playing? Why is it failing in its oversight responsibility to regulate these companies to make sure they comply with transformation targets and take tough action when they don't, to send that strong message?
Well, government is doing something. As far as the Department of Employment and Labor, we have an inspectorate division which consistently goes out to see what employers are doing, and especially if there has been any whistleblowing, we would, the inspectors would go out and inspect the extent to which employers are sticking to the employment equity plan and really trying to move in the right direction. But over and above that, I think I need to mention that, if you look at the number of employers that we have in South Africa, it would take a whole army of inspectors to inspect just in the space of employment equity. And what we're doing now is to say, in what other ways that are less labor intensive, however, quite stringent in being punitive, can we look at ensuring that we effectively manage the implementation of employment equity? And that's the amendment bill that we have in place, which seeks to promulgate Section 53 of the Act. And if I can just quickly talk to what that is about, Section 53 empowers the minister to issue a certificate of compliance to employers. And with that, employers would then, after the amendment bill has become law, would only be able to do business with government on condition that they have a compliance certificate issued to them by the minister. And we do believe that this is a strong enough whip to give to employers that are non-compliant.
Yeah, let's hope so, Tabea. Do you ever get reasons from these companies on why they are failing to comply with the law, why they continue to break the law? Because that's essentially what they're doing.
Yes, in terms of affirmative action, most employers tell us that they do not necessarily have the skill that they need from designated groups. And our response to that is to say that employers should look less towards recruiting externally, but rather farm their own timber internally. That means that they themselves should take it upon themselves to train up people and to create career pathing that can advance people to these top management positions. And we believe that is the most effective way to see transformation, as opposed to employers just poaching from one another, and therefore we get to have the revolving door syndrome.
Yeah. Organizations like the Black Management Forum have suggested prosecution of directors of the companies that are failing to transform. Is that too extreme, or is that something we actually need to send that strong message?
Well, that suggestion is difficult to implement. It's not practicable in the sense that the Employment Equity Act does not have an enabling clause to that effect, that you can prosecute employers that are non-compliant. You can only prosecute in a case where there has been a fraudulent activity, or you can put in place a fine where an employer has clearly not complied with their employment equity plan. And so at this stage, the Employment Equity Act does not have a clause that says you can prosecute an employer that is non-compliant, that is not transforming. There is no such clause in the Employment Equity Act. So it would be difficult to enforce something like that.
Yeah, and I saw in your latest report, you indicate and you make a point that as the Commission, while South Africans, we have these stringent legislations governing the appointment of foreign nationals, there's been an increase in the appointment of foreign nationals at entry occupational levels. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So if you look at top management as well as senior management, we've had it hovering around 3% of foreign nationals. And when we engage employers, we are told that these companies are multinationals and therefore need to have people who have a certain level of expertise that can look after the interest of the shareholders. However, at low levels, at the unskilled level, it really doesn't make sense why an employer would want to employ foreign nationals when it's an entry-level position that very often does not require a peculiar skill that one would say South Africans do not have. So the only conclusion we can arrive at is that this practice is a practice that seeks to really, just put foreign nationals in a worse off position, in the sense that they are totally exploited, and it is hoped that they will not enforce the right to go to the CCMA or to any bargaining council with regards to their rights that are not met by their employers. So as far as I'm concerned, it is a way of just getting around the law in terms of making sure that employers are paying the minimum wage, employers are giving employees their rights in terms of the basic conditions of employment, because we all know that foreign nationals are vulnerable. Most of them would not have work permits and therefore are vulnerable and would be too afraid to approach the law to say, I am being exploited.
All right. Tabea Kabinde, thank you so much for your time.